Hey, everybody. Scott here. Welcome to the Millie Maker podcast. It is a bright and early Sunday morning. I'm not sober. I'm going to lie to you. I had some drinks last night with Bo McBig Time. I polished off this bottle or half the bottle of my hedonism scotch, celebrating early. Maybe it was not the best move, but I'm ready. I'm back. My partner in crime, Bo McBig Time, could not make it this morning. Unfortunately, the wife had other plans for him last night. Shout out my guy, Bo. Sorry you were used and abused last night, man. It happens. That's what marriage is all about, unfortunately. So here we go. We're jumping in right now. We have with us today a little bit of a help, a little bit of a tool. It's my lucky man's coin. So I'm not alone. I may look alone, but I've got the spirit of Pete Overzet with me today. You know, he's won a couple of $1,000s this year in different tournaments. So 3 kisses to the coin. Hopefully this wins me another 5K. Actually, hopefully it wins me a milli. Let's talk about it today. So crazy slate this week. We have 10 games on the main slate. 2 are removed. If you're not aware, where have you been? Half the league is testing positive for COVID. I'm just hoping to get this podcast done before I test positive for COVID and I have to self-quarantine, whatever. Anyway, long story short, it is a crazy week. And we're here to try to win $1 million. But I like these crazy weeks. I think in these crazy weeks, the cream will rise to the top. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let me share my screen. There we are. I can jump in there. I don't like how big I am. I need to get a little smaller in here. There we are. That's much better. Okay. So what I have up here is the Millie Maker contest. I got my 1 bullet each week. I put 1 entry in. I'm not a big baller. I don't have a lot of money. My wife would not let me put in 150 maxes. She definitely wouldn't let me put in 300 and use her name. Shout out some cheaters from last year who decided that they were going to do that. I think it was the one of the ex-Bachelor guys, Bachelor in Paradise. Who knows? Whatever it was. He sucks, and he didn't win the money because he put in 300 lineups. Scott's not doing that today. Scott's putting in 1. You get 1 lineup from Scott. So let's take a look. This is our page. We got nothing in the lineup build yet. So I'm going to talk through some of the guys that I'm going to put in here. And as I go, I'm going to give some rationale for what I'm thinking. I'm going to start by building it a little bit differently. I'm going to start by just going straight running back this week and build out my running backs. I think there's a lot of great value in running backs. I think there's also a lot of chalk in running backs this week. So, I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to feast, but he's also going to be feasted on by the masses. He's going to be really well owned. So he's somebody who, even though he is a great cash play, and he might score really well, I think a lot of people are going to own him. So I'm going to differentiate a little bit and just drop down 100 here and go with James Robinson. James Robinson, along with Zeke, and Christian McCaffrey, who's injured right now, only 3 running backs who are averaging 90% of their team's rushing attempts, and then also 10% of their team's targets. So we all thought that James Robinson would not be the passing back. We all thought that Chris Thompson would be. James Robinson was really not thought of in that vein, but he has been primarily both. He ran 26 routes last week to Chris Thompson's 13, and he looks like he is a plug and play each week. And that value, 6,700, I like it a lot for Mr. James Robinson. He is going to be my RB1, but he's not alone. There is another newcomer, not a rookie, but just somebody who we wouldn't think to plug and play. I'm going to put in my second RB spot, and that is Mike Davis. Mike Davis has no Reggie Bonifant to help him or hurt him or hinder him or in any way slow him down. He is going to get the rock today. He's going to get the rock in the passing game. He's going to get the rock in the rushing game. I could see him having a total of 25 touches today in a game I think is going to shoot. I know that it's always weird when you have these divisional matchups because either they shoot or they kind of they go way under, you get those 7 to 14 games, 10 to 14 terrible games. These defenses are not that good. And you look at what the offenses have been able to do. And I think we get some points in this game. I think it's a 28, 24, 31, 28 type game near the end. And I'm hoping that Mike Davis pops off and gets me at least maybe 20, 22 points in this position. So far, I got James Robinson, Mike Davis, not your typical backs, not your headline names, but I think they're going to come through for the Millie Maker for me because I'm optimistic that not everybody's going to have both of these guys stacked up. I'm thinking that people will move a little bit away and maybe go to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Zeke. I do love Zeke, by the way. I think Zeke is going to be a monster this week as well. I'm just going to look for some value in some other places and try to differentiate a little bit away from that. So if you're a Zeke fan, so am I. I love Zeke this week, but I'm just going to do a little bit different strategy for this build because I want it to be unique. I think that's the thing about the Millie Maker is you do shoot for the stars if you've got one bullet, right? If you've got 150 bullets, whatever it is, you can plan out how you want to strategically build upon all of your players that you think are going to be competent and are going to be functioning in that offense this week. But, I can't do that. I have to go for the best plays, as my guy Pete Oberzet would say. Shout out. The man's coin. By the way, if you don't have a man's coin, I can't help you. Anyway, all right, here we go. I'm sorry, I was not nice. I was just teasing. Okay, so let's talk about wide receivers. There's somebody who I've been looking at this week whose value I think is depressed a little bit, and that is Will Fuller. Let's take a look at Will Fuller here and what he's done so far through the first 4 games. He did have a dud game, of course, in game number 2 where he laid the donut, which was, you can't have that. The donut is terrible. But overall, his game log shows that he has been consistently targeted. I mean, we're talking 10 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets. I want those targets for him. Last week, he was super efficient. He turned those 7 targets into 108 yards and a touchdown. He had a long of 43. That's what we've been looking for. I think this game shoots out a bit. We have 2 bad defenses, and I think we have a Houston Texans team who really wants to prove themselves now that they're away from Bob. And if you don't know who Bob is, it's Bill O'Brien, and he is the saboteur of their franchise for the last half decade or so. He's been ruining that team for a long time. I can't believe that Deshaun Watson has stood for this long. I'm glad that J.J. Watt yelled at him and had a fight with him after they lost last week. Good for you, JJ. Good for you confronting him. And I hope Will Fuller benefits from that. I think Will Fuller will get a lot of targets this game, and I think they will come out and they will throw the football, and I think Will Fuller has a chance to pop. So I put him as my wide receiver 1. Let's throw him in there right now. Secondly, when it comes to wide receivers, there was somebody else who was, I can't believe he was this cheap. He is priced up when it comes to just value of overall, prices for overall wide receivers. He is high, but Tyreek Hill at 6,900 in the game that is the biggest Vegas implied total for a home team this week, almost 35 points for the Chiefs. They're gonna get it in. We don't know who's going to get it in. We don't know if it's going to be Kelsey. We don't know if it's going to be Tyreek, but I really do like Tyreek in all formats. Maybe not cash as much, but I do like him. But in a GPP, I think he is the kind of dart throw that you want. So I'm going to throw in my guy Tyreek Hill. Let me tell you about what I'm going to do for defense. I've been scouting defenses all week, and defense is a tricky wicket to get into. I have a DraftKings tool I'm going to pull up right now. This is from NimbleWnumbers.com. This is my DraftKings tool where I have all the data from every single game from all the players embedded in. And so let me explain what's going on here. This is the value of each of these different teams based on the points that they've scored. I'm looking at a difficult situation this week where, the Colts are priced down to 3,300, which I like. They are a really good value. But I want to save a little bit more money. I do. And I want to be a little bit more differentiated. Defenses overall, if you go in, I'm going to try to scroll over here to my other part of my screen over here on the side. So I can do that. Yay. All right. If you look at the average points per week for defenses, they're not great. Only 5-6 teams are near that 9 to 10 point range. And then you have 13 points for the Colts, kind of well above. But, this is not where you're going to get a bunch of points. So you're kind of hoping to get some value. And in my value play this week, just to save me some cash, but I think also against Old Man Rivers, there may be some turnover opportunities, is the Browns. I could see Myles Garrett being in that backfield all game long. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot to kind of mitigate some of that, but Phillip Rivers is waiting to turn the ball over. He wants to turn the ball over. He is hoping to turn the ball over this week. It's what he does regularly. Last year, to end games, he threw 6 game-ending interceptions as his team was driving to try to score points to win the game. So in that context, he's the perfect guy I want in this game. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I don't think this game is going to be a big shootout. I think it's going to be a fast game with a lot of running. It's going to be one of those games you look up and it's already in the third quarter, and some games are not at half, which is fine with me. That's what I would like to have. I want a game that ends quickly. I also want a game that runs, not a lot of points scored, hopefully, in this game. I don't like Indianapolis' offense. I just don't. They're not very good. Last week, they had an opportunity against the Bears to really kind of hammer Jonathan Taylor. I don't know what they were doing. I just don't. So I don't have a lot of faith in them, but I have faith in the Browns, hopefully getting a Rivers pickle. And if they can turn that pickle into a pick six, that might just push me over the top at the end of the slate. This is a 4:30 game, so this might be one of those ones that I'm waiting for. I'm hoping and I'm praying to Old Man Rivers to give me that pick six to win me the mill. So that's what I'm thinking. That's my thought process going through. I don't like Phillip Rivers, by the way. I mean, I love him. I love Phillip Rivers as a person and as a football player and as a mic'd up guy. He is incredible, but I will be playing against him all year long. I don't think I'll have him in any lineups, and I don't think I'll have many Colts receivers in any lineups either. Maybe this one will have one in it. Except, I mean, I'm not trying to backtrack right away, but one I am backtracking right away. One person I am going to play this week in this play is Trey Burton. You know, Trey Burton came back last week. He had some snaps, which was great. He had some actual targets. He had 5 targets, which it doesn't sound like much, but I think against a good Chicago defense, those targets, they did have value. He was able to do a couple of catches, make a couple of plays. This week, he is the tight end who I think I want to own. He's at 2,900. That opens up value at other positions for me to pay up and get some other guys. But also, I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Trey. I think that he's not a widely valued player this week. And so he might be somebody who is a pay down option at the same time, might be a TD upside option. So, all right, I talked a little about Phillip Rivers, which he deserves, but I think Trey Burton is somebody who he could target underneath. Trey Burton's not going to be 50 yards downfield. He's going to be in that, 7 to 15 yard range, which seems to be Phillip Rivers' wheelhouse. So I'm going to sneak him in there, and then I'm going to look and see what that does for the rest of my value here. So in flex, I'm going to go and I'm going to throw in my guy Gibson, because I'm a big Gibson believer at $5,000. I feel like that is just stealing. I don't know what's going on with DraftKings. Are they just trying to drive action and manipulate ownership percentages? I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe they're trying to do that. I'm not sure. But I can tell you that if you look at my matrix and you look at the value of these running backs, I've got a few of them in my lineup today. So I do have James Robinson in my lineup. And then if you scroll down a little further, I do have Mike Davis as well. And then Antonio Gibson falls right in that value range as well. You can see he's right above Derrick Henry. If you're looking at points, he's a few points behind Derrick Henry, but his value is right there at $5,000. You really want him to be able to get over that and maybe get 15 points this week and 3 times. You want him to triple up on his points. So I'm going to go with Gibson. That leaves me with 12,800 to QB and wide receiver. Now, you know what? If I go into QB and I'm looking around in here, there's a few different people who I really would want to target. So I might want to pair up Deshaun Watson with Fuller. I think a better pair might be, though, Pat Mahomes with Tyreek Hill. I want to put that in, and I just want to see what that leaves me and what I'm left with to kind of play around with that other wide receiver. If I draft Mr. Mahomes here, Mahomie, as I've heard people call him, leaves me quite a bit of money at 5,100 to still find a lot of value at wide receiver. So let's take a look at what I've got so far. I've got Pat Mahomes. He's paired up with Tyreek Hill. I've saved a ton of cash by putting Trey Burton here in my tight end spot. That might drive down my value in tight end, but it might be able to free up wide receiver value. So let's look and see, because if that doesn't work, Trey Burton's going to be out, and I'm going to load up for Bear and then try to go for a $3,000 wide receiver instead. So if we go to wide receiver, let's look in that 5,100 range and see if there's anybody who we think has the ability to pop in a game script this week. I think one of the ones that everybody's going to be on is Darius Slayton here at 4,800. That is not a terrible play. I do like Darius Slayton. Another one would be Henry Ruggs. He is a speed merchant getting some opportunity. Laviska Shenault at 4,500 is another option as well. I'm going to take Trey Burton out, and I'm going to go to the all-popular double stack with Mahomes, and I'm going to throw in Kelsey. I'm just going to see what that does to, that's too expensive. I'm not able to do a double stack with Kelsey and with Tyreek Hill. I didn't think I would and fill in the rest of these guys, but I just wanted to see. But let's check and see if I do stack, because I do like the double stack, and I've noticed that with Mahomey there are chances to double stack. I just want to play around and see what it would look like if I put in either Watkins at 4,500 or McCole Hardman at 4,400, and just see what that would look like as we play around here. That leaves me with 3,500 for a tight end. If I went into my tight ends, I could still do Burton, but I don't really like that as much as I did before. Let's see if there's any value to be had. Logan Thomas, Ian Thomas. I don't really like those plays either. That's not my favorite play to do. But you know what? Here's the thing. I do want to have Mahomes. I think Mahomes is going to be the highest scoring quarterback this week. I just do. I think he will be. And I think he's going to be the ticket in. I don't know which one of his wide receivers or both are going to be there. But you know what? I think it's worth taking a stab at least at one of them. All right, let's pivot at tight end and see if we can go a little bit different and be a little bit more creative, because I don't know if that value is going to be there. We weren't getting a lot of value when we made that move. If you're going to pay down, you want to be able to get up to some of those other players. Let's see if we throw Eric Ebron in, where that leaves us at wide receiver. I think Eric Ebron does have an opportunity to be a sneaky tight end play, get you a touchdown this week in the red zone in a game that I do think will have a little bit more scoring implications than we think. I think that's a sneaky little play for Ebron at 4,000. But let's see what that leaves us at wide receiver, because it might not leave us with anything that is worth stomaching besides our guy Zacchaeus at 3,000. Cedric Wilson, 3,100 is there, but there's not a lot. I do like Isaiah Ford. I don't like this game completely, but that might be a play as well. Let's put Isaiah Ford in there and see what that looks like right now. We've got Pat Mahomes, James Robinson, Mike Davis, Will Fuller, Tyreek Hill, Isaiah Ford, Eric Ebron, Antonio Gibson, and the Browns. We've got about $500 in salary left over. I always do want to see if there's upgrade potential and possibilities. So in this wide receiver bracket, I don't see a lot of upside potential. I do see, you know what, being creative. I don't know if this is going to be a smart move. Maybe it's not. Let's look at my guy Deontay Robinson and see how, call him Deontay Robinson. Too many Deontay's. Let's look at Robinson and see how his game log has gone. Yeah, he had no targets, 4-6. He's being phased out. I'm not interested in playing him, even though he's a little bit cheaper. It doesn't look like it's a good value for me. Right now, if at tight end, we're looking at 4,000. See if tight end, if there's a play at 4,500 that brings us a little bit better of a tight end option. In that range, we're looking at Ingram's at 46, just out of range, and then a big drop down to Mo Alley Cox. I'm not a big fan of that. If I went and changed up for Ingram, that would also leave me out of the Ford sweepstakes. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't think Ford is going to pop this week. I am going to stay frosty and pay attention. I don't know if Julio Jones is starting yet. I'm not on Twitter. I'm actually doing the show. Imagine that. So I don't know where that stands right now. I am going to scroll down and just take a look and see who are some of these plays that I might be able to get. Wilson has stepped up. I didn't expect him to be getting as many targets. Let's take a look at his game log and see 6 targets, 7 targets. These were both in blowouts. I think this game is going to be a more controlled game. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot with Zeke. So I don't see this game shooting. So I don't think that is going to be a potential good play. But you know what? I think I am going to go and try to run it back with Zacchaeus, because I know everybody and their mother is probably going to be on Mr. Zacchaeus today. But with no Julio Jones, that really does present an opportunity in that offense, especially when they go to 12 personnel and there's 2 wide receivers on the field. That Calvin Ridley is going to command the double team. So he kind of becomes the Calvin Ridley. He kind of becomes the wide receiver 2 theory, and priced down at 3,000. I think that is a value. So let's review the team real quick. I'm going to submit it and then forget it. And then we're going to go watch some football. All right, Pat Mahomes, my quarterback. I paired him up with Tyreek Hill. I also have James Robinson, Mike Davis, Will Fuller, my man Zacchaeus, Evan Ingram, Antonio Gibson, and then the Browns defense. Last check on the defense to see if I can upgrade. 3,100 gets me the Cowboys. I do not want them. the Jags, the Eagles. Nope. I'm going to step pat. I'm going to stay pat. I've got a little bit of change left over, which I like, which means I'm going to hopefully be a little bit varied. I hope no one has this team. I'm sure someone does, though. We'll see. All right, guys, best of luck. I'm going to update. That is my winning ticket. Hopefully the next time I see you, I am a millionaire. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Have a great week 5. Don't get COVID, please.